So I guess we can get started, as some folks might trickle in, but we can start with a quick introduction. So Melanie, if you'd like us to get started.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. My name is Melanie Panich. I'm Executive Director of the Office of Social Innovation, and this is a huge moment in the academic year for us, launching Map the System for 2022. We're really delighted to be here as a team to tell you more about it. This is a really interesting, long-standing, and probably the signature program that we offer through the Office of Social Innovation. And you'll learn more about us and the way in which this program will proceed. So we're delighted to see so many people here, and we look forward to spending the hour with you, going through how it works and any questions you might have. So a really great welcome to you, and we look forward to spending the time. Okay, thank you.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Melanie. So as you know, Melanie is our Executive Director. My name is Jess Machado, and my role in the Office of Social Innovation, or OSI, is in developing and coordinating our student programming, which focuses on supporting students and furthering your learning, research, and activism in social justice. But before I get started, I'd introduce Jocelyn and Veronica, who also work with us.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jocelyn Crunier, and I am the Marketing Communications Coordinator at OSI. You may hear from me and see me pop up a few times throughout the course of this program. Nice to meet everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Wisniewska, and I'm a fifth-year student at X University, and I'm the Social Innovation Assistant. I mainly help out Jocelyn with marketing and communications. Yeah, it's great to be here and to meet everyone.
All right, great, thanks. Okay, so like you heard from Melanie, Map the System is one of our annual programs, and this is our 6th year running it. So we do have just a few slides to go over. This will take about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll have some time for questions and discussion afterwards. And a hello to who's here from Montreal. So if you'd also like to let us know where you're joining from, that's always really fun to do in this virtual time. So as you know, this presentation is being recorded, will be shared as a video and a transcript with it. And any resources that we mention will be made available on our website afterwards and shared with all the participants who couldn't make it today. Okay. So Map the System is an extracurricular program that helps participants to study and research a systemic social issue of your choice. Some example of these issues could be, affordable housing, food sovereignty, food insecurity, or access to education, right? At the end of the program, usually participants will have developed a brief research report, a visual map, and a 10-minute presentation communicating your findings. And in helping you to do that, what we do is between February and April, we offer a weekly workshop series, online resources, and mentorship from staff and faculty. What's important to note here is that in this program, we're not looking for you to present a solution to the issue you're studying. Map the System solely focuses on helping participants to comprehensively understand and define a system. So over the semester, we offer resources to help guide your learning about the complexities of social, environmental, or economic systems, all while developing your own research, writing, and presentation skills. And as we've heard from participants, the best part of the program is that you're deciding your research topic, and we're providing the resources to help and support that interest. And like we said, this is the 6th year that we're offering this program. What's really exciting is that in the past year, we started to offer a case study, which really helped to demonstrate how to take a systems thinking approach. And our case study is actually one of our own research projects at the Office of Social Innovation, which takes a close look at OSAP and the relationship between student loans and student engagement. So in our workshops, we're not just teaching you how to abstractly understand a complex system, but we'll actually be grounding it in what we've learned in practice. So it makes it really easy to understand how we do things or how we map particular systems. So this program is similarly offered in about 40 universities and colleges internationally. So you can also be connected to that network of participants. What we do at the end of the program in April actually is select one submission to present at a national event And from there, a handful of submissions are selected to present on an international stage or an international forum. This year, the national event will be hosted virtually, but the international event is being anticipated as hosted in person at the University of Oxford in June. We will see when we get there though. So, and another opportunity for participants is eligibility for one of our grants. We offer a grant called Apprenticing with a Problem, which grants up to $3,000 to anyone who has participated in Map the System to continue your research beyond the program. So you can use this funding, to compensate your work as a researcher, to support building relationships with faculty or community organizations based on your research, and so on. So if you're wondering what it actually means to take a systems lens approach to a social issue, this canvas summarizes a range of critical questions that you would be responding to throughout the program. It touches on understanding how the issue is defined by those most impacted by it, what causes the issue to persist, and who stands from benefiting for the issue persisting. And it includes researching what activism or grassroots approaches to the issue have been in the past or more recently, what can be learned from those efforts, and what obstacles exist to further collective action and social justice in the issue that you're looking at, and even what gaps exist in terms of funding, resources, legislation, and power. So we offer a weekly series of 1-hour workshops, which are live and recorded just like this, to help you through the research process, and a handful of online resources that you can access anytime. So if you are interested in the program, there are 2 ways to participate, either as an individual or in a team of up to 5 people. Individually, the only requirement is that you are a current ex-university student or a recent alumni within the past year. Any student is eligible, so you could be studying part-time or full-time in a certificate, undergraduate, or graduate program. If you would like to participate in a group of up to 5 students, only one person needs to meet that requirement, right? So only one person needs to be a current student or recent alumni. So that means that you could be in a group with people who aren't students at all, people who are students at other universities, that sort of thing. So your team composition can also change at any point in the program. You can, start as an individual and then join a group afterwards, or vice versa. So it's very flexible in that sense. And your topic of interest can also change, right? We expect that usually happens. But regardless, everyone who participates will receive the same access to the workshops and the resources and the mentorship that we offer. And so this is a really quick overview of our key dates and workshops. Most importantly is, if you would like to participate this semester, you do need to register by January 31st, and that is next Monday. And it's in part because we start the program the exact same week and go from there. So if you aren't sure if you have the time or energy to participate this semester, if it's quite early in January and we're all very ambitious at the start of the semester, I will say to register anyways, because there's nothing at stake if you don't participate, right? This isn't a course that you have to drop or something, or you don't pay to participate in this. Just by registering, you get access to our online resources, and that doesn't expire. You have the option to join any of these workshops, right? Or go in and out as it suits your schedule. You can meet with us at any time and, use us as soundboards for your ideas or for your research interests. So it's really supposed to be there to support you through your learning. And I see we just have a question: is this offered in the spring term? So we offer Map the System for this winter semester, but all the resources that we share and upload go on for as long as you're a student, or they don't expire essentially, right? So you can access those resources anytime. If you're interested in connecting with us anyways about your research topic or interest, you can reach out to us in the spring term. That's totally fine. But we do have a deadline for, it's the end of March, beginning of April, to take in submissions for this semester, to choose a student or to choose a group to go on to the national or international event. That's the only kind of deadline that we have to meet. But because this program is offered annually, you can join again at any time if that doesn't work for your schedule right now. So I hope that answers your question, but feel free to add in other questions if you need. Yeah, and also for anyone who's not a student in here, just in case, I will explain what D2L is, because D2L is where we upload most of the resources to begin with. D2L stands for Desire to Learn. It's the university's learning management system. It's where all course materials are uploaded. If you're in a group with folks who aren't students, what we do is email you all of the same content. So whether or not you're a student, you have the exact same access to it, right? And that doesn't expire. So as you can see, we have 7 sessions planned for this year between February 9th and March 30th. A couple of them are like short interactive lectures where we cover some important content like these 2 at the beginning. Other sessions are demonstrations where we're actually showing you what it looks like in practice. So for example, how to use a systems mapping software to create your visual map. And a couple of sessions we have are called in progress seminars. And we introduced this last year as an alternative to deadlines. So instead of asking you to send in a draft of your research question by a certain date, what we hope to do is bring participants together to just talk about where you're at in your work, right, in progress, and any challenges or issues that may have come up. And in that kind of a space, we all share ideas and feedback, and hopefully that's a really generative discussion.
I'll just say one thing about that, Jess, and that session is really to bring problems. So it's not a showcase for how well you're doing. Actually, we're looking for the problems. So it's one of those kind of workshop sessions. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much in progress does not mean much success in the beginning. Yeah, it's a messy process. So thanks, Melanie. And yeah, it's true. And that became a really valuable space, especially in virtual learning, to connect and create a community with each other. So we have a couple questions here so far. So should we come in with a clear issue and outline, or is there potential to find a team and focus once we join? The answer is yes. You can, yes to the second part, I should say. You can find a team and join a group of students afterwards and then develop your research idea or interest afterwards. That's totally, totally fine. At the end of the presentation, I do have a couple examples of past students who might be helpful in sharing what their learning journey was like. But essentially, you don't need to come in with a clear issue and outline, and there is potential to find a team and focus on something once you join. Someone else asks, how many minimum hours per week should we be putting into this? I want to make sure I have the time to be able to participate properly. Yeah, thanks for the question. Our workshop series are just 1 hour a week. If you can attend those and commit to them, that's great. If not, you can watch those on your own time. Usually we find that in the span of the entire semester, so from February to April, students might put in a total of about maybe 15 to 20 hours to make their submission at the end of the day. And that's over a few months though, right? So in the grand scale of it, it's not all that many hours. But the other piece to it is that you can actually use your research in this program for your courses or vice versa, right? If you have an assignment right now that is a paper focusing on a particular issue or trying to generate a particular insight, you can do the research for that course and bring it to map the system as well. So in that way, you're not, using up a lot of time in your day. You're researching for both purposes, right? So I hope that answers your question. Another question is, can we bring a project that is funded through an external source, for example, the Canada Council for the Arts? That's really exciting, and for sure, there's no reason not to. All research is accepted or appropriate, right? So whether you've received funding to do a research project, and if you're looking to, let's say, take a systems level approach to it, and this program would be really helpful for you doing that, by all means, bring the same interest and idea here. That's totally acceptable. Thanks for the question. And someone else asks, Hi there, I am joining from Montreal, and I am not a student at Ryerson, but an MBA student at HEC Montreal. I was wondering if I could still attend your workshops. So that's really fun. Yeah, by all means. It will be uploaded and made online. So as long as you register by January 31st. And I will say, if you're joining from another university but want to attend our workshops, you will have to register under Ryerson University in the link. Because what happens is that's a central registration form for all students or all participants, and your information gets sent to the university that you click under. So if you want to join our sessions, do put our name, and then we get your email and your contact info to give you access to our workshops. Yeah, and in the worst case, if something doesn't go through, feel free to email me and I can add you to our list anyways. And thanks very much. So that's Jocelyn posting the registration link in the chat. Okay, and on our key dates here, just to wrap this slide up, at the very, very bottom, you see that we hope to end the program with a celebratory showcase. And that's where we just upload everyone's presentations or submissions, and just really want to take the time to enjoy that the semester's over, that you've put a lot of work into your submissions, and it's always really exciting to see the work that everyone does individually, and when it comes together, how some of that work is relatable or what people can learn from each other. So that's a really fun virtual evening we can look forward to. And from there, once the program's over, that's when we start looking at selecting a submission to move forward to the national event. And then we start accepting applications for apprenticing with a problem. So and I'll talk a little bit more about that grant in a couple of slides. Okay, so I'm sure you are probably curious about what comes from this program or what students have done in the past. So this is now just 3 examples I'm going to share of our past participants and how they came into their research. So in 2020, we had a team study the crisis of affordable rental housing in Toronto, which feels very relevant right now. And this was a topic that they were already interested in. This group had experience with, and experience is defined very broadly, as in they were all renting at the time and had been for a long time. And they already knew each other when they started the program. So Sahil was a graduate student at the time here in spatial analysis. And he was the one who registered and then joined or brought in Peter and Crystal. Peter worked as a policy advisor at the time, and Crystal was a student in geography and environmental studies at Queen's University. And they produced this report on the complexity of rental housing, and that included a really great critical analysis on the competing perspectives of housing as a commodity versus housing as a human right. And this submission was actually selected as the one to present nationally, and it also moved forward to the international event. And they were one of 6 Canadian groups, I think, to present internationally that year. And in the same year, we had Logan Wong and Mary Gomez. Mary was a child and youth care student at the time, and Logan was a social work student. And he actually took up his 4th year placement as a research placement in Map the System. And they both actually started the program as individuals and then became a team after they met at the first workshop. And that's where they realized that they had similar research interests in queerness and international sports events and policy. And so within the first month, they were able to land their research topic, which became a report on exclusionary practices and policies affecting trans Olympians. And after this, I think Mary went on to work for the YWCA, and Logan then did his MSW here. And our last example is from 2019, where we had Hansel Igbavoa and Sheldamar Elliott. So Hansel was an entrepreneurship student at the time. Sheldamar was an environment and urban sustainability student, and they both entered together. They knew each other as friends, and they didn't have a clear research topic to start with. We actually met within the first month, and that first month being February at the start of the program. And they were trying to share that, they had this interest in studying something at the intersection of race, food insecurity in an urban setting. but wasn't quite sure what that was yet. But those were all their interests at the time. And then a couple of weeks after that, they were able to find their research interest specifically in food sovereignty for Black farmers in the Greater Toronto Area. And they wrote an excellent paper. And in the process, they were able to speak with and interview and build relationships with a handful of local community organizations. So after the program, they did receive funding to continue their research and their work. And I think after that, Hansel went on to work as a research assistant at the University's Center for Food Studies, and Sheldamar went on to work for Food Share Toronto, and he's also now the co-chair of the Toronto Youth Food Policy Council. As you could see on all the slides, there's these links, and this will all be shared with you as well. And these include interviews that the students had with Jocelyn, actually, who's here, who did a stellar job putting those together. And you could see the reports that they created, the visual maps that they made, and even what they had to say about their own experience in Map the System. So that'll be helpful to get, their student perspective on it. And as I mentioned earlier, we introduced a fund to support student-led research that emerges from Map the System, or if you're bringing your idea into Map the System from somewhere else, like if you were funded for a particular research project, or if you're already doing your MRP or dissertation and you'd like to use that research as your focus for Map the System, that's all very much welcome. You're still eligible for this grant. Just by being a participant in Map the System, you're already eligible for the funding. All you need to do is make a submission. And we do hope that this fund supports relationships or building relationships to create research. So whether that's working with a faculty member or with a community organization, that's all it takes to be eligible for the fund. We did have our inaugural recipient was a Master's of Policy and Public Administration student. And she used her funding to continue her research after Map the System with the National Institute of Aging at the Ted Rogers School of Management here. And since we did start introducing the fund, we've been having a lot more graduate student participants, and we found that some of them, with the work that they do in Map the System, they end up taking that or using it to inform their MRPs or dissertations. So we do also accept those documents or those those pieces of work if you'd like to be eligible for the grant. So instead of creating a completely separate research report or visual map, if you'd like to send us something that you've already made using what you've learned from Map the System, that's also acceptable. And that's our program in a nutshell, really quickly. So on here, you have our link to the website for Map the System. You have my email if you'd like to reach out to me about any other questions. And if you'd like to just be involved with our office, we have our Twitter and Instagram handle there. And we also have a mailing list if you'd like to join that to stay up to date with what we're doing. We do offer other funding programs beside this one if you're interested, and other events and opportunities. So, but with this focus on Map the System, that sort of wraps up what the program looks like. I don't see any other questions in the chat right now, but I'm just going to take a look at what was shared. Right, so Jocelyn put in the website links for our key dates and our past participants, Apprenticing with a Problem. Thanks so much, Jocelyn, for that. Thank you, thanks for the thanks. Glad that it was really informative. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put that in. Or you can also unmute your mic and share a question that way, or just through the chat. Either is totally fine. Just let us know.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you very much for this. I saw this a few days back, and I've been hyped for the past couple of days. And then thanks for having this session. I'm the guy from the Montreal. I was wondering if we register with Ryerson, and then we continue and we want to go for competition. Should we compete with Ryerson? How does that going to work? Or is it going to be internal to my university? I have started asking internally what is the plan in our university, but then I haven't heard back much from anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll follow up, but then I was just wondering if we really go forward and produce a research and we want to compete, how that do you think is going to work out?
Right, it's a really great question. I think for the university that you register with to begin with is the university that you would sort of be representing or be a part of by the end of the program. So I think that's how it goes. If your university gives you any different information, do let me know. Yeah, I mean, we're very open to accepting students from any universities or colleges and sharing, what we've worked on or what we do. But I do think that's how it goes. Just in the past, I remember, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we had a U of T student with the same question. And so I think for her, she ended up having to choose which institution she would go ahead with. And so she stuck with registering with Ryerson. And then I think she formed a group with a couple of other Ryerson students and then a couple of her own students too, or her own peers too. So it's entirely up to you. There's no hard feelings, whoever you choose, by the way. But regardless, even if you do go with your own university, but would still like to access our resources, they're all online anyways. So yeah, but do feel free to email me if you have any other questions. Yeah. So thanks so much for that. Thank you. And we have a hand up from Rebecca.
Yes, hi. Thank you for hosting this session. It's been really informative. I'm with OMID in the sense that when I saw this, I was excited to learn about it more because I don't know, an excuse to do research is always fun. I did have a question though, because I like researching. I kind of have a lot of on my plate this semester and I'm not 100% sure I can commit to submitting a final thing, if that makes sense. So what if there's I don't know, should we feel pressure to get a really nice final product? Should I sign up if I'm not sure that I can actually get that final product? Or what happens if I have nothing by the end of this? Is there does something happen if I just don't submit anything? Because my intentions are obviously to work on this and submit it, but again, I do have a lot on my plate, so I'm just wondering what is expected, the minimum that's expected from us. I understand the maximum, that's obviously the goal, but I don't know, do you know what I'm asking?
Rebecca, I so hear you, and you're not alone. It's you and the 30,000 other students who have so much on their plate, so don't even worry about it. There's nothing at stake if you don't submit anything, and we don't want anyone to feel any pressure to submit. We've actually had students, so because this is the 6th year now, we have seen students register in the program every year for 3 years of their undergrad, and just keep coming back to it for when they have time to do it or for creating something new. So you can join, you can access all the resources, you can come to some of our workshops, and then if things get really busy or if you're not able to make a submission, that's really okay. You can still participate in that sort of thing. And you can also register again next year. So even let's say if you're graduating this year, we do accept recent alumni, or recent alumni are eligible within the past year, so you can apply again or register again. Yeah, so in short, nothing happens if you don't submit. Students do take time to develop a bit of a submission. So the only reason why, if you're trying to, or if you're interested in being a part of that national event, then you would need to meet the submission deadline with the submission. Right. That's the only thing. But if you're not worried about that, right? If you're maybe that's not for me right now, then there's nothing to worry about. You can work at it at your own pace.
Yeah, and like you said, we can always apply to future years. So if I start working on something this semester, I could probably bring that over to the next semester if I don't have something I'm proud of by the end of this one, right? Could work. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for your answer.
No, I'll just add, it's just even by coming to the first session or two, you might find a way to integrate what your other commitments are and your other workload is with this. Once you know more, you may see a pathway.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and great point. Like we had mentioned, this can be really valuable if you are working on an assignment for a class, or like we were just speaking to a social work class and a group of students who have to create a policy brief by the end of the semester. And something like this, or working through something like this, could be really helpful to giving you new insights into particular policy issues, right, or into particular social policy. So this could be really helpful for that. And then you could use even that assignment, whether it's a policy brief or something else, right, to kind of frame what your submission for Map the System would be like, right? So you're not putting a lot of extra time into it. Like Melanie said, you're taking from what you're already doing. And also you don't have to do it alone. You could do it in a group of students. We found that that's been really helpful for folks in dividing up some of the workload. And we hope that with some of the sessions that we offer, we make it really straightforward on, you know, how to put together a submission or how to help inform your report or that sort of thing. So we do have those resources, and you can meet with us at any time. And since you really like researching, I think you're in good company with everyone who's here. You might be able to connect with a network of other people who would be interested in just sharing what they've learned or working with you too, or that sort of thing. So yeah, so thanks so much for that question. And we have another one in the chat here, I think. Will this event be offered virtually for future years? Also, if I join as an individual but can't attend sessions, will I still be placed in a team and be required to do the work? So for your first question, will it be offered again? We've been going for 6 years. I don't think we have any plans for stopping, unless Melanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like we're going to keep going for a long time. Yeah. Will it be offered virtually is a really good question. We did start offering this program in person, and then because of the pandemic, we did shift to virtual learning and as a virtual offering. We hope one day, some point in the future, to go back in person. But for this semester, we did plan the entire offering to be virtual or to be remotely. In the future, we're not totally sure. But regardless, we will keep offering Map the System every year. If you can't join as an individual, or if you join as an individual but can't attend the sessions, that's no problem. We don't place you in any teams. That's entirely up to you, right? So when you register, you'll put in, you know, whether or not you want to be in a team with people. So let's say I'm going to the registration form and I start registering as an individual. That's totally fine. That doesn't change at all. If you yourself want to, let's say I join and I meet Jocelyn, I think, hey, we should work together. You can change your team composition at any point in time, right? The only difference it makes is when you make your submission, you list your full team and nothing changes there, right? That's all good. If you can't attend the sessions, that's totally okay. They're all virtual and they'll all be recorded just like this one will, and uploaded and shared with participants so you can watch at your own pace. Or if, you know, like we were just saying with Rebecca, if you're not able to complete a submission this semester, which we totally understand, there is a pandemic leeway for everybody, and we are trying to be as flexible as possible, right? There's nothing at stake there. You don't lose out on anything. You're not required to do any work. It's really what you make of it, right? It's what you put into it. So we do hope that we can create a really, really valuable learning space that will keep inviting people back to it, right, out of your own interests. But, you know, we don't automatically put people into teams or, you know, automatically require you to submit something. So I hope that that's helpful for your question. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Does anybody know anyone who's been already participating in Map the System? Or is it been that you've learned about this through the very effective distribution that Jocelyn has been doing through communications? Just curious about that.
Hi everyone, my name is Aya and I'm a first year sociology student at Ryerson, and I actually heard about this program from my academic advisor, I think, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm very interested about researching gender-based violence amongst the displaced communities, that is refugees and so on. Unfortunately, in settings such as those, the lack of support, and there are a number of complex issues that can stand in the way of having like a healthy family connection. And unfortunately, often women are the ones who bear the consequences of those hardships. And yeah, I'm really excited to research about that.
Well, that's really exciting. Well, thanks so much for letting us know, and glad to hear that your academic advisor shared the opportunity. That's really helpful. And thanks for sharing your research interest. I guess maybe if anyone's interested too in connecting with you about that, they can message you in the chat. But thanks so much for sharing. It's great to have you here. Thank you. And we do have a hand up from.
Hi, yep, my name is Natasha. I have a question. So I kind of popped in a little bit late, but I was able to catch this, not this person, but the second last person that inquired about similar situation where, you know, there's just things going on, but I am interested. So I'm curious, do I still register to be able to listen to the other, to partake and be able to watch the other videos that will be coming up if I can't attend the live gatherings?
Yeah, it's a good question. Absolutely. By all means, by registering, that's how we can share access with you for those videos and for any of that content. So we totally expect that not everyone will be able to attend our weekly sessions. We are planning to host them Wednesday afternoons for an hour. So if you're not able to make that, you know, there's lots of conflicts in our schedules. It's totally okay. That's why we are hoping to have them recorded and uploaded so that you can watch them at your own pace. So yes, please do register so you can get access to that. And thank you for the question.
And even though they're at, because I'm just looking at the registration form. And so like in section 2, it's talking about, I guess, project title, and then further down, I guess, a little description. So if we're, does it have to be fully detailed at this point, or?
It's a good question. The answer is no. So one of the reasons why the form kind of asks for a bit of that information up front is because it helps us to have an idea of how to cater, you know, examples or anything that we bring in, right? So we make it relevant to the cohort every year. So you can keep it very, very brief, very vague. We have had participants put in really short ideas like, you know, I'm just interested in studying food insecurity, but I don't have my, you know, research project finalized. That's really okay. And actually, we do anticipate that your ideas will shift and change as you participate in the program, right? So for the time being, you know, really just put in anything on the top of your head that feels relevant to you. You know, like we just had a, oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. That I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thanks for your question. Okay, and we have a couple in the chat that came up. So someone says the form asks, are you receiving course or degree credit from your institution for participating in Map the System? What should I answer? So for that, you should answer no. This is an extracurricular program, which means you're not receiving academic credit, as in, you know, you're not going to see a course credit for this on your transcript. Like I mentioned, we did have one participant who was able to use this as a social work placement. So there are some creative ways of trying to receive a form of credit for it. But for that, you would have to speak to an instructor, maybe for a course that you're interested in bringing Map the System into, or to your placement coordinator or your field coordinator. But that's kind of on an individual basis. So someone says, thanks for the session and for the contact info. Thanks very much for coming. Someone else says, no worries, some internet issues, no worries at all. Take your time. And this will be recorded, by the way, if you're joining a little bit later. We have recorded this session and we'll be sharing it with all participants afterwards. So you're all going to get the same information and the same resources. Yeah, thanks, Jocelyn. And two, I see we got a couple questions about the registration form. If there's any like technical issues with the form itself, if you're filling it out. I remember last year there was an issue where when you tried to register as an individual, it became a required question to put in another team member's name or something. So that was just a technical issue on the back end. So if you encounter any of that stuff, please do email me and let me know, and then we can get it resolved really quickly so you can finish your registration. Thank you. And thank you for joining from Montreal. Thanks very much. It's great having you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Okay. So I guess we can wrap up a little bit earlier. If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute and ask. Otherwise, we'll stop our recording soon, and be sure to share this with everyone. So
I guess just to say that there is a welcome lunch for people who have registered next Friday, I think, on February the 4th. And if we were face to face, you'd be invited for an endless amount of boxes of pizza of all descriptions. But in these times, you'll have to bring your own, unfortunately. But it would be another chance for those people who have registered, who are still interested, to explore their thinking and meet one another, because it is part of our agenda to create a sense of community, especially important in these times when we're all so isolated. So this becomes one of our attempts to build the community among students who are interested in this. So if you are leaning in this direction, we hope that we might see you again in a week's time.
perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Melanie. Thanks, everyone, for coming. If you're interested in being inspired by the pizza lunches, that's totally up to you. It might be a lot of pizza, but we tried to get the gourmet kind. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop the recording. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. Thanks.